好， 你有木掉吗？你有木掉吗？
麦克风测试，麦克风测试，1、2、3、2、3。
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this press event. Welcome to this press event for the U.S. Congressional Delegation, led by Chairman Michael McCaul of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. In the beginning, introduce our distinguished guests. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Lin Budang. Chairman Michael McCaul, Congressman Jimmy Panetta, Congresswoman Young Kim, Chair of the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee, Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, Congressman Joe Wilson, Congressman Andy Barr, the co-chair of the Congressional Taiwan Caucus. First, I would like to invite Minister Lin to address the audience.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to welcome the bipartisan delegation appointed by House Speaker Mike Johnson to Taiwan. This delegation is led by Chairman Michael McCaul of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee, along with the committee members of the House, including Congressman Jimmy Panetta, and also Congresswoman Jin Ying-yu. Very familiar friends. Young Kim, who is the chair of the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee. Members include Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, and Congressman Wilson, and Congressman Andy Barr, who is also a co-congressional Taiwan caucus. First of all, I want to thank Speaker Johnson for sending this esteemed delegation to Taiwan. To congratulate the Lai on his inauguration with the people of Taiwan in celebrating this important moment and another milestone in Taiwan's democracy. Chairman McCaul and members of this delegation are very important and staunchly supported Taiwan in the U.S. Congress. Under his strong leadership, the Foreign Affairs Committee has legislation after legislation that helps advance Taiwan-US relations and strengthen Taiwan's self-defense for us to safeguard Taiwan's democracy and freedom. And thank you, Chairman McCaul. Your birthday could not be timely. This year marked the 45th anniversary of Taiwan. And also, you are the very first congressional delegation I received after assuming office, the foreign minister. And more importantly, just a few days ago, the PRC conducted 2 days drills to Taiwan and around Taiwan, simply to express their displeasure, a president elected by the people of Taiwan. I believe the military exercise were also PRC's way of welcoming this delegation. And you visit in this time. It's a powerful gesture. It's a powerful display of the strong bipartisan support of Taiwan in the United States. It's also an important gesture of solidarity. That shows America stands with democratic Taiwan. And for this, we are deeply grateful. Moving forward, we are eager to work with the U.S. Congress, continue to strengthen cooperation between Taiwan and the United States, and to advance our rock solid partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Please be seated.
Thank you. Thank you, Foreign Minister, and a dear friend to see President Lai in this new position. Just on a personal level, on behalf of Johnson, we want to extend his thanks and his praise for the inauguration. Once again, showing democracy prevail. On behalf of the delegation, bipartisan and Democratic, we stand together as Americans first and foremost in support of Taiwan. I do. It's been mentioned earlier today in our country. Memorial Day. It's a day we remember those who served. And I can't help but think about my own father and Joe Wilson's father, served in what we call the greatest generation, who fought at the ultimate time of peril when both Europe and the Pacific was under from dictators, aggressive ones, trying to take over the world. And fast forward to today, and there are so many parallels between the events that we see today. Deterrence is Reagan's quote, strength. We have to provide that deterrence. As you mentioned a year ago when I was here, I started to think it's me. Maybe I know the inauguration. They did the same thing a year ago with a not so warm reception. And more than anything, I see it as a intimidation tactic to punish democracy. Because they don't like democracy. I know Chairman, she would often tell President democracy is dysfunctional. Democracy is broken. I can make a decision like that. And you can't. The only problem is in his governments, there is no freedom. There is no democracy. And the people have no power. And they're subjugated to his authority. And that is the difference between CCP and Taiwan. And we need to provide all defense articles as instructed by the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979. This is the 45th anniversary. His family had 17-year father here in 1979. His father was helping negotiate that historic document. And I know being here today, we will live by that. We will support you. And we did in our emergency supplemental to the tune of $2 billion for military financing to Taiwan, $4 billion total to the Pacific region, and also presidential drawdown, and we will weapons you purchase weapons to you as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, I just like to think about prosperity. You don't have peace. And prosperity without strength and deterrence. Without strength, it invites conflict and war. We've seen it in history over again. We want to provide deterrence, and we also want to provide prosperity and peace. Think about in the 40s and the making transistor radios now. This beautiful island is the leader in semiconductor technology. 90% of the global being occurs right here, in Taiwan, and 60% of the international trade goes through the Taiwan Strait. So when people ask me, the United States, why is Taiwan important? It's the people. It's democracy. It's freedom. It's prosperity. It's what you bring in science and technology, in innovation. And it's because Taiwan are just like people. So that, sir, I just want to thank you. I know to questions, and I want the members as well.
Thank you, Chairman, for your inspiring words. Now, I would like to open up all questions. If you have a question, you raise your hand, and before you ask, and tell everybody your name, everybody your name, you belong to.
Thank you, Chairman McCaul. I'm Chairman McCaul, the Reuters Bureau Chief for Taiwan. When you were here last, almost this time last year, you were talking about the need to get Taiwan when Taiwan has borders you just mentioned. Is there still a problem with getting Taiwan when Taiwan borders? What more can you do to help speed up these purchases? Having seen these war games in China conducted last week, presumably there is much to make sure that that's happening.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great one that I continue to talk to the Secretary of State about. We talked to AIT about this. We are moving forward on those weapon systems. I'd like to see you faster. But they are forthcoming, and I think the $4 billion for military finance is a huge investment, but a sign of showing support to Taiwan. We believe that package far more quickly than far more military sale package for several reasons. And so I think if anything, what just happened last week, the armada of ships and airplanes sends a very strong message to the United States that myself and all these members will take with us to the United States Congress, the Speaker to the President of the United States, and the urgency. And I will say, President Lai and I have always had a very sober and yet very right conversation about the threat that this island faces from its neighbor to the north, and it's a real one. It's without deterrence. She has bold, aggressive ambitions. And we just need to do everything we can to make it possible for him to see that the risk outweighs the reward. That the risk is just too high. And what value would it be to invade, just to take over, suppress people, destroy everything. Anybody wants that result? I think the deterrence we will provide, and we're providing, by our presence will help prevent that. And hopefully he'll understand. That it's just simply not. Let's live by the Taiwan Relations Act, and let's live in peace. And let's live. If any of the other members would like to comment on that,
Yep. Okay, thank you. And Laurel in the back.
I'm Charlie Young from Liberty Times. Excuse me. Building on Ben's question, they are concerned over if the arms will still be a good fit for Taiwan, consider Taiwan's situation constantly changes. Will there be any calibration over the issue, or what's the response from U.S. over the concerns? Thank you.
without getting into too much specifics or the other, I would say that the focus has to be maritime assets. What they did the last couple of days was essentially a preview of what a blockade would look like. And it actually gave us some warning indications about what that would look like in terms of a response by Taiwan and or possibly, the United States. So that, looking at what they did, what type of military assets would most likely deter and stop that? My view is the maritime assets are key here, because if you can prevent them getting to the land, then you shut down this thing. I mean, it could happen so fast that just having land assets are not going to prevent that, and then you're in a guerrilla warfare situation in the mountains. I think the key is to stop them from getting on the island first. But it would be a very intense couple of days, and I think the key is to make sure that the island has the weapons necessary for deterrence, so that she's looking at that military calculation. It doesn't look very good to him, and that's why, again, the harpoons, anti-ship submarines. We have AUKUS now with the UK, the United States, and Australia now working together on nuclear submarines and other technologies, AI, quantum, to help countering the influence of China. We also have the Quad that involves India to help counter the malign influence of China. And we have greater cooperation between our governments in terms of the help. Under the Taiwan Relations Act, we can provide them with the advice and the strategies and the training so that Taiwan is prepared.
Thank you. The gentleman in the front.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, Ryan Nichols from NBC News. There seems to be a growing debate, especially in your party, but in the Congress in general, about isolationism, the role of foreign aid by the United States. It's become a big issue in the presidential campaign as well. Was that something that President Lai brought up as a concern? And what would your message be to your colleagues trending in that direction after a visit like this?
Well, as I mentioned in our debate on the floor for the emergency supplemental, isolation, I believe, is dangerous. I believe we, after World War II, are a leader of the free world, a leader of NATO. We cannot shrink from that responsibility. And yes, the rest of the world has to step it up as well in their own defense. However, the question I posed to my members before they voted was, are you a Churchill or are you a Chamberlain? And I look at the history and the parallels between the late 30s and what I saw in Poland when the Ukrainians were pouring out into Poland, mothers and daughters, and they would tell me in Poland, this is just like 1939, when Hitler invaded. And then we went to the Pacific. Churchill, and I met with his grandson 2 days ago, talked about the gathering storm, the axis of evil. And in it, he talks to Roosevelt about what do we call this war. And Churchill says it's the unnecessary war because it didn't have to happen. It could have been prevented. We are at that same point in history right now. A war doesn't have to happen here, and it's unnecessary. But we need to do everything in our power to prevent that from happening. So I would just have my colleagues study history. And you don't want history to repeat itself. And we can learn, a great deal, I think, from history. I don't know, does any other,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Andy Barr from Kentucky, and as the Republican co-chair of the Taiwan caucus in Congress, there should be no doubt, there should be no skepticism in the United States, Taiwan, or anywhere in the world of American resolve to maintain the status quo and peace in the Taiwan Strait. The United States is fully and completely committed to deterrence, to supporting Taiwan militarily, diplomatically, and economically. We agree with President Lai that peace and stability and strength is indispensable for global security and prosperity. And we were here today, and we are here this week, not just to congratulate a new administration and president and the new president and vice president for an election victory. We are here to celebrate a victory for democracy, And we stand in bipartisan unity in support of that freedom and democracy.
Thank you. Mark.
Hi, this is Mark from United Daily. My question is being, if the military situation escalates on the Taiwan Strait, would you recommend to maybe the U.S. government to incorporate Taiwan, as you mentioned, Quad and AUKUS, such organizations, in order to level up the Taiwan's strategic status? And also, you have mentioned, I think it was during March that you said you will come visit on the 20th. Now it's the 26th, 27th. I don't know what has affected your schedule. Thank you.
Right. Well, and let me echo Andy Barr. The resoluteness which the United States Congress has behind Taiwan is extremely strong. And even though there are debates about other theaters of war, the Pacific theater, I can tell you there was no division or dissension when it came to Taiwan in the Congress. And, is it going to escalate? I would say it's escalated over the last couple of years. I don't think we've seen this threat coming from them to really in response to a fair and free democratic election. And we know that they are building up their weapons systems. They're advancing. We're looking at export controls and everything from semiconductors to AI as they advance into AI warfare systems. And it's a great power competition. And Taiwan is in it. And Taiwan is leading it in many respects with the technology that it performs and creates. And so that's why we're with Taiwan in this. I hope it doesn't escalate, but I think Chairman Xi has made it clear that he envisions himself almost as a Chairman Mao type that wants to restore the imperial China and is intent on the South China Sea. And perhaps it's a legacy issue, but again, I think from our perspective, that $4 billion and getting all the other weapons in are going to send a wake-up call, and I think delegations like this speaking in support and from other countries. The Quad, the thing that is, of course, we can't call her an ambassador, although she is. And, I get, they sent me a warning. Do not visit Taiwan because you're in violation of the One China policy, because they don't recognize the president's status. And I say to them, they're in violation of the One China policy. But we do have to be careful with certain red lines that we know the PRC has, not to cross those lines, because that would end up in a catastrophic war. And so we have to be very careful with our diplomacy not to cross those red lines. Yes, under the Taiwan Relations Act, we provide as much as defense articles as we possibly can. And we can work with and train the Taiwanese. And if, God forbid, it got to that point where the American people would have to make a very tough decision if the island was unprovoked, in an unprovoked manner was invaded, then it would be to the American people and the United States Congress and my committee that has the power to declare war how to deal with that. But my job right now is to make sure we do everything we can to make sure we never end up in that situation. And to make sure the deterrence is here to stop that from ever happening. And then also make sure there's great economic vibrancy. That's what we're talking about, a tax treaty with Taiwan and a trade treaty with Taiwan, all of which will strengthen Taiwan.
Thank you. Wall Street Journal.
Hi, this is Joe Yuan with the Wall Street Journal, and thanks for having us here. My questions would be on the upcoming election in the U.S. later this year. I'm just wondering if this is something between your conversations with President Nye, and I guess one of the scenarios would be a possible or potential Trump elections. And I'm just wondering if you have any advices for President Nye, to work with the United States under that scenario. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, President Lai really understands it, and he understands the importance of our relationship. And we're making it very clear to all of you today that our United States strongly stands with Taiwan. And regardless of which candidate wins the presidential, I do not see that support wavering whatsoever. The current president, I think, just came out with a very strong statement I just read, once again, that he supports the defense of Taiwan, in his words. And I know that, President Trump, I've dealt with Mike Pompeo quite a bit. He and I worked on a lot of things together, and I don't have enough time to talk about them all, but a lot of it had to do with right here, protecting Taiwan. And so either way, I think it's important for the people of Taiwan to know that election will not impact the American people's resolve and support.
Thank you. Maybe the last one. Last one.
Chris, too, Ray.
Thank you. Chris Buckley from the New York Times. Just to return back to that question of the backlog of undelivered arms sales to Taiwan. Now, by some estimates, that backlog is now approaching $20 billion, and the supplemental funding that's come through may make a marginal difference, but there seems to be a lot on both sides that's holding back faster deliveries. I wonder if you could give us your diagnosis about what needs to be done on both sides to make these deliveries come through faster, both on the Taiwanese and US sides, and what ideally should we see happening in that space in the next few years? Is it simply a problem of the United States' limited military-industrial base at this point?
I do think part of it's a defense industrial base issue that has been highlighted to my attention ever since I become chairman. When I sign off on weapons, we have to wait a period of 2 to 5 years for them to go into the country, and I think that is way too long. And in the case of Taiwan, it's way too long. Some of these weapon systems go back to 2020, so 4 years ago. Now, I put a continuous pressure on the defense contractors and the administration and the Department of State and Defense to get these defense articles out as quickly as possible. As opposed to Ukraine, I get a lot of questions about that. That's mostly a land war. This is primarily a maritime battle. Taiwan, unlike Ukraine, will be getting new weapon systems, not old ones, especially old Russian weapons. It will be a new stock that would be supplied to Taiwan. Some of our latest technologies, by the way. And I think the majority of that package being held up, most of that are the F-16s. And as I understand it, there's a software issue. And I think, quite honestly, sir, the power of the press informing the American people about this story helps. Helps my job to put pressure on the administration to get these weapons in, because when you come here and you see, again, the armada of ships and planes surrounding this island, you see a very dangerous situation, and that's why deterrence is so important. I know every member here will take that message back, and I will again reiterate with the Secretary of State. I mentioned it to him at the hearing, the other day. But the other thing is not projecting weakness. Projecting strength always prevails, and it stops war, and not to micromanage situations that often, sometimes in Ukraine, I think we micromanaged it to the point, especially right now, they're on the border of Ukraine and Russia, and Ukrainians can't even fire back. And I think we'll get that one fixed. But I think it's important that everybody knows what the rules of the game are, but not to impede it. I do think with Hong Kong and Afghanistan and now Ukraine, I can understand the sort of reservations. And I have them too, and that's why I really dedicate a lot of my time on this to make sure Taiwan is best prepared and has the deterrence necessary.
Due to time restraint, I might have to conclude this session. So before we end, I would like to invite Mr. Lee to join the delegation for a photo group photo.
you want to post that to the minister?
Thank you, everyone. And let me thank the delegation once again for traveling from afar to be with us. Thank you for your support. Thank you, everyone, for attending this event. I wish everyone a good day. Thank you.
Okay.
Gracias.